Alrighty, guys, you know what time it is. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. It is the number one place where you just don't hear about success stories, but you actually understand how you create them yourself. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga. And if you've ever felt stuck in fear or second guessed your potential, or maybe just wondered why success just feels out of reach, then I guarantee you today is the episode that's going to hit home for you, because today we're not just talking about business. We're going to be talking about rewiring the way you think so that success becomes inevitable. And trust me, this is one of those episodes and conversations that you're going to want to send to a friend who's probably ready to step onto their next level. But before we go any further, make sure you're subscribed to the Online Prosperity Show, because episodes like this don't just inspire you, but they actually change the way you see yourself. Now, I'm really excited about the guest we're about to introduce today on the Online Prosperity Show, and I've got the absolute pleasure of welcoming Katarina Carlsson. Katarina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazingly. Thank you, Prosper. Better than ever in my life.
Absolutely. Well, I've heard you've firewalked, you've rollerbladed through winter, you swim kilometers like it's just a casual Tuesday. I gotta ask you, are you building entrepreneurs, or are you just maybe secretly training superheroes?
Good question. Yeah, I'm secretly training superheroes because there's a superhero in every one of us. By the way, I don't rollerblade in the snow in Sweden. I actually skate. I rollerblade in the summer.
All righty then.
Please
All
will
right.
say that's impossible,
Exactly. You see,
Pretty
I,
dangerous.
I was looking at your resume and I thought, nothing is impossible under the sun. But for those that are
Oh,
meeting Serena for the
yeah.
very first time, she just doesn't teach success. She actually conditions people to become it. As the CEO of Destiny International 11, founder of the Global Leadership Schools, and creator of the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Consultation, Katarina has spent over 20 years helping people uncover what she calls their entrepreneurial brilliance. And this is what really caught my attention when I was looking at her case. She went from taking days to overcome fear, and she's now doing it in 10 minutes or less. And that's why I included that tidbit about rollerblading in the snow, because I just thought it was one of those things that actually happens. So in this episode, we're going to be unpacking the real reason that fear actually holds people back, and it's not exactly what you think, and how your core values might actually be the linking or the missing link to your actual success, or they actually link you to your eventual success, and how Katarina is on a mission to impact 195 schools globally. And obviously, we are going to be challenging something that a lot of people never question, which is, what if the version of you that you're trying to become is already there? What if that version is already there underneath the work or whatever it is that you are avoiding, or the conditioning that you've been brought up with? So I might just go on and talk about things I'm not qualified to talk about. That's the reason why we've got Katarina here. Now, Katarina, I mean, obviously you've already corrected me, so I better not get excited about other facts and
Rollerblading in the snow, right?
take us a little bit back. Now, who is Katarina, and what was life like before Destiny International 11?
Well, like most people, Prosper, I was pretty lost when I left school. I was had no real direction. According to Dr. George Land, we are all dumbed down in schools. We start off with 98% of us with creative genius up to the age of 6, but by the time we leave school, it's Probably less than 12%. By the time we're adults, it's 2%. So no wonder we're in a bit of a mess. But the good news is there's a solution. Anyway, I was lost as a teacher. I became a psychotherapist, a very successful one, but success wasn't enough for me. I was one of the top therapists in Stockholm, one of the two top therapists, psychotherapists. I had my own therapy center in Helsingborg. I almost never advertised. I didn't advertise at all in Stockholm, and I was fully booked. But was that enough? No. No, I was making money. I was successful. That's not enough for me. And it's probably not enough for a lot of you either, because we need to find our driving purpose. And I didn't find my driving purpose until I found my core values. What are my core values? Truth. So that means integrity, vision, and driving purpose. Truth, greatness, and vision. So we have to know our greatness, which is our driving purpose, and we have to know our vision. Why do we have to know our vision? We have to know, where am I going in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? Because then we can make quick decisions and not turn back on our decisions. The leaders that are the most successful make decisions quickly and don't change their minds. Weak leaders make slow decisions and change their minds the whole time and confuse people. So you've got to know, number one, who am I? Number two, where am I going? Number three, what's my vision? Where am I going in 5 years' time? And what's my driving purpose? So when I found that, I found my core values in 1 day, and I think it was within 2 weeks, I created the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Consultation, because I realized this isn't just about me. This is about everyone. Very few people know their truth, and their truth is their peak identity. Very few people know their peak identity. Very few people know their real driving purpose, and very few people know their vision. And this is what we can learn in school. So I founded the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Consultation. I've been doing that successfully for 20 years. We are putting that into schools as well. But today, it's absolutely crucial to know, this is who I am, this is my driving purpose, this is where I'm going, and what is my sabotage strategy. And Prosper used a great word. It's called rewiring. How do I rewire myself for absolute success? So that's what we do in the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Consultation. So, shall I go on?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for opening us up with that. I just wanted to sort of, cut back to the part where you said, you're obviously running a successful enterprise practice, and everything seemed to be going on well for you. You were number 2 in the country at that particular time. You didn't exactly need to advertise, which is exactly what a lot of people strive for. But you said something that wasn't enough. Now, I know a lot of people that would be listening to that and thinking, wait a minute, that is exactly what everyone aims for and fights for. How do you feel that is not enough when that is the ultimate goal?
That's a great question, Prosper. I just knew I knew I could help all of my clients much more quickly than most psychotherapists. Most clients came for 10 sessions and out. 10 sessions, and I work with mostly CEOs, and people phone me every single day. But it made me angry, because I knew there was something more I could do for people. I knew there was something more I could do for myself, which was the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Consultation. That I will never give up the rest of my life. When I found that, I realized I'm home. I'm home.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I make less money, even if at the beginning I made less money than I did as a psychotherapist, didn't matter. Why? Because I thrive every single day. This means so much to me. I have clients coming back to me and saying, excuse me, but I've made, after your 4-hour consultation, I've made $1 million in 3 years. Not many people can say that. A lot of people say they will make $1 million in 1 year, but we underestimate what we can do in 5 years and overestimate what we can do in 1 year.
So
But yes,
what I'm hearing here, Katarina, is the mainstream and the system is actually letting people down and nobody's doing anything about it.
oh yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, Dr. George Land in 1962, I mean, that's what, like 70 years ago or whatever, but a long time ago. He said, we are dumb downing children. And he had NASA reports to prove it. He interviewed 1,600 children and found that 98% of those children up to the age of 6 were delivering creative genius, were demonstrating creative genius. By the time these same children were in their teens, it was down to 12%. 12 from 98 in just a few years. And teens, no wonder teens are angry. No wonder teens are taking drugs, because they know no one's listening to them. No one's seeing them. No one's finding their entrepreneurial brilliance or their unique brilliance, which may not even be entrepreneurial. By the time these same children were adults, it was down to 2% creative genius.
Great stuff. And then you said, when these people would come to you, most of them were high-ranking CEOs, people that were obviously doing considerably well in their own positions. And then when they would come to you, you would still feel depleted as they left because you felt like you could have done more and you could have done more to help them. Now, were your hands tied by the profession, or were they just not paying you enough?
Well, I was working for myself, so I was paid enough, absolutely. But that didn't satisfy me. And okay, so these people needed healing. But then once you're healed, what then? Right? That was the next burning question. And that's what I wanted to help them with. And I wanted to work with people who were ready, basically ready and hungry to know, who am I really, Katarina? What is my driving purpose? What is my vision? A lot of people are skeptical. They go, no, that cannot be done. 4 hours, no. 1 year with a coach, and I'll pay $60,000 to do that. And there are many coaches who don't know how to do this. They don't know the process because they haven't found their own identity. They haven't found their own driving purpose. Their driving purpose is to be a coach. Yeah, same for millions and millions of people, millions and millions of coaches. One leader I heard said, you throw a stone anywhere and you hit a coach, right? Too many coaches. And I would say, don't pay $60,000. Do it one day with me with the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Consultation.
Right. So obviously you were in the trenches and you're dealing with all these people and you are finding that most of them needed more, but it's not what you could provide at that particular time. What stopped you from just providing it to them if you knew what they needed?
They came to me for therapy. They came to me to be healed. With one or two of the clients, just a few of the clients, I did the Entrepreneurial Blueprint. But what's important, Prosper, is that we, as consultants, as coaches, as people who are helping people, we need to thrive. If we don't thrive, how can we expect our clients to thrive? So, I mean, if I was angry, people are going to pick that up. Today, people pick up that I'm happy, I'm thriving, and they want the same. Like I can tell you are. You're thriving. You may look a little puzzled right now, but you're thriving, Prosper.
All right, cool. So one of the things that turned this all around was you discovering your values. And obviously this is something that then got you on the path that you're on. Could you describe how crucial this is for any other person to literally know what their values are? Because this completely changed your life.
Yeah, people need to find out what their core values are. And a lot of my clients borrow mine. They say, well, I want to know my truth. I want to know my greatness without being arrogant about it. I want to know my driving purpose. I want to know my vision. Because if I know that, I can decide who I am and what I want in my life. I can make decisions very easily. I can be a leader. But we also have to know our sabotage strategy. We all have one. And if we're the top 3% of the most successful people in the world are very cognizant of, this is my inauthentic identity. This is my weakness, like for example, procrastination. And this is how it affects my life. And they rewire it. That's their secret. And everybody needs to know that, because we all have an inner saboteur.
Now, Katarina, if you look at it, coming to the realization that who you were or the identity that you were leading all this while is a false and inauthentic version of yourself, isn't that a lot confronting for a lot of people to come to that realization than it is to just continue as who they were? Because then that means living, like you said, a career that you were absolutely doing well in, and having to start from a place where, like you said, when you started, you didn't have, you were not making as much as you were working as a, the psychotherapist. Is that an easy thing for people to come to that sort of conclusion, even if they've discovered what their values are and seen what is actually possible for them?
It's never easy to be confronted. It's never easy to be confronted. But the top 3% have the courage to confront themselves. And they often have mentors and coaches. All of them have mentors and coaches. And they're willing to be confronted. If you're not willing to be confronted by your sabotage strategy and you're not willing to rewire it and you just want to be in your comfort zone, well, good luck. That's all I can say. Because it takes courage. It's not, I don't promise anybody overnight success. Entrepreneurialism is a journey. Entrepreneurship is a journey. That's why it's called entrepreneurship. It's a journey. And you grow into the person you want to become. That's what life is about. It's about growing. So if people are afraid of confrontation, if people are afraid of, well, maybe I won't I don't want to change. I just want to make a lot of money. Well, good luck.
Now, I mean, obviously, from the way that I introduce you, walking on fire and things of that nature, it just does look like fear is not something that comes up regularly in your thought process or in your vocabulary, but it is something that you talk about a lot, in reference to other people and how they sort of operate. But what did fear look like in your life before you actually learned to master it?
I think, honestly, Prosper, I was pretty much afraid the whole time because education didn't bring out my brilliance, definitely not. I was very lost after school. I became a teacher. I think that was, I was on the right track, but teaching was not my thing. I didn't want to be a teacher for the rest of my life and then become a headmistress and then retire. How boring is that? Excuse me, for all the teachers, that's a bit rude, but but that was my honest truth about myself. So fear. I think most people are in fear most of the time. If you're lost and you don't have direction and you don't know who you are, yes, you're going to be in fear most of the time. I wrote a book called Set to Win, And in that book, I have the acronym of fear. So for anybody listening right now, write down the word fear and write it in capital letters. F plus E plus A, and then write equals R. It's like an equation. So how do you let go of fear in 10 minutes? Number one, F stands for focus. So let's say you're going to talk in front of 1,000 people. Most people would rather die than talk in front of 10,000 people. Okay, so you're about to go on stage and you're scared stiff. Well, but what is your focus? Your focus is, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? Well, and it's all about me, 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 me. Take your focus off yourself, put your focus on your audience and love them and give the best of you to them, because it's not about you. It's all about them. So refocus, that's the F. E is energy. If you don't have energy, you're just like, oh, I'm going to talk like this. And it's not going to work. You have to have energy behind your truth, behind what you're going to say, behind your business. You have to put energy. This morning, for one of the first times, I honestly wanted to go for a run in the woods. And I did, in the rain, in the puddles. And just a 10-minute run, but I did. Okay. So when you run, and you run every day, you don't have to run for very long. You can run for 10 minutes. By the way, don't walk, run. If you can run, run. You will create more energy in your life. And if you have focus, if you have energy, you're on your way. However, you need A. And what does A stand for? Action, but not just action, action with great attitude. So focus plus energy plus great attitude equals R, which is results. And they are great results. If you're doing this correctly, great results.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for this, because so many people see fear as a stop button instead of actually focusing on, like you're saying, creating the energy within themselves so they can have the attitude and altitude for them to actually get the results that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Now, for those that are watching right now, I want you to be honest with yourself and just drop it in the comments. What is the one thing that you've been very afraid to do, or what's one fear that's been holding you back lately? I want you to write it in the comments there, and let's make the conversation real so that we can help each other be, do, and have happier existence. Now, obviously, you've figured out this, and I think information changes situations, because when other people just look at fear, they're looking at it as in, oh, I don't want to do the wrong thing. I don't want to lose what I already have. Oh, I don't want to make other people sad, mad, or angry at me. And I think it's usually more about the other people and what they think of us than it is basically about ourselves. And from this understanding, it now takes you a few minutes, right, to get yourself out of any small fear. Like you said, you just thought, nope, I'm going to run, and then that's it, and stuff like that. Is there anything that you do to prepare yourself for that, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's another method that takes exactly 4 minutes. You put your phone on and you time yourself 2 minutes, and you complain, you can shout, you can scream as long as nobody's listening. You tell yourself everything that's going wrong, everything that's not working. So you complain for 2 minutes and then you stop. No matter whether you're done or not, you stop. You can even swear. That's okay. After the 2 minutes, you say everything you're grateful for, because you cannot be fearful and grateful at the same time. It's impossible. You cannot be fearful and enjoy at the same time. So say everything you're grateful for, everything that's working. That's it. the fear is gone. 4 minutes.
Right. So this is just a matter of replacing emotions, right? Where if you
Yes.
cannot be grateful at that particular time, allow yourself time to vent. But after it's done, it's done. And then you go on to
Yeah.
actually starting to feel good because at least you have gone through those motions. Your brain registers that you have gone through that, but then you go back to regulation. But is that an easy thing to switch in between? Because 2 minutes just sounds like a little bit of a an abrupt sort of time frame, especially when
It needs, yeah, it's exactly that, Prosper. It needs to be abrupt. It needs to be, okay, cut off, enough, because who's talking? It's the inner saboteur. It wants you to stay small and in your comfort zone, so small, bored, and almost bored to death. It wants you to stay where you are. Stay with the job. No, doesn't matter about AI. Don't forget everything else. Just stay with the job, stay with your income. And if you're fired, well, you're fired, but it doesn't want you to change. But change, no matter how it looks, is always good. Always go for change. And I don't mean change job, change idea, change yourself, change, just for the sake of change. But if you see that a change is going to work for you, go for it. Always change, always for the better. So don't listen to the inner saboteur. The inner saboteur comes from the reptilian brain. This is in neuroscience. We all have a reptilian brain, and it will always tell you, no, don't do it. Play safe. But entrepreneurs don't play safe. And I'm not saying take huge risks, take calculated risks. But you will know if you listen to your intuition, if you listen to your gut, if you listen to your soul, you listen to your spirit, it will tell you the truth. The inner saboteur is a liar. And it's the only enemy we have. We have no enemies outside of us except a reflection of our inner saboteur.
Absolutely. Speaking of enemies outside of us, you see, when somebody is not having a good day, they blame the weather, they blame, anybody else other than themselves,
Yeah.
and, it could be the school principal, it could be the traffic, it could be the checkout girl at the register. They just didn't bag my things correctly. Now I'm going to have to walk through the whole parking lot, collecting things. She's ruined my day and things like that. But you've worked with clients over the 20 years, especially in your practice now. What's the most common pattern that you see in people that actually don't succeed?
Procrastination is number one. It's like people know what to do, but do they actually do it? No, fear stops them. They say, "Well, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week," or I don't think I'm ready. So procrastination. If you gotta keep yourself going, and I would suggest that whatever you're procrastinating on is fear-based. So write your list and at least do one thing a day that you've been procrastinating on. Do it. Just do it.
Is it, and I think you've mentioned it. People procrastinate because they don't want to make a mistake. People procrastinate because they are afraid, and it comes back to that fear. Because either the mistake is going to cost them time, money, effort, relationships, or whatever it is that they hold near and dear to their heart, right? But the one thing that might eliminate some of that fear, you've also already mentioned, that is getting to understand who you are as a person, because then people like us do things like this. You would know what to do, you'd know who to become, and you have past references of either yourself or other people that would have been able to do those things. Now, how does somebody actually find their core values if they've never been taught how to do this before?
That's a very interesting question, and I'm going to work with AI and create an app so that people can find their core values. It's probably about at least 100 different core values that you can have. And everybody is probably completely unique. But then what you can do is ask yourself, what is the most important thing? For example, in a relationship, what's the most important thing? Is it honesty? Is it integrity? Is it uh, is it that people want to be everything they can be? I mean, what is important to you? Is it honor? Is it vision? Is it greatness? I think this is a subject that should be studied in school. Core values.
Mm,
If you know your core values, you know who you are.
absolutely. But you've mentioned that there's a NASA report about children being dumbed down.
Yes.
What's really happening here? Who stands to benefit? Because if we're raising dumbed down people into society, then it's just fully grown babies that we're gonna have to be looking after, in the future. So what needs to change?
What needs to change? Education needs to change completely. We need to make schools the most dynamic, most innovative centers in the world so that children don't even want to go home. They don't even want to go, on holiday because they're going, oh no, I'm in the middle of an entrepreneurial project. I'm having so much fun with my friends, but not just fun. We're creating something extraordinary. We're creating a new skateboard that nobody has ever tried before, and it's completely dynamic. And mom is calling us from home and saying supper's ready, it's on the table, come home. And we're going, no mom, bring supper here, because we're so excited about our project. That's how schools should be.
Wow. I mean, just listening to your journey and listening to what you're saying, and me being a dad as well, I'm picking up something that you just don't build businesses. You actually build people who are no longer afraid to become who they were designed to be because they have come a lot. So you literally give people back to themselves.
Thank you. That's exactly what I do.
But whose
I
job is
love.
this? It can't just be your job, Katarina, to.
No. No, I'm not alone. I'm sure lots of coaches say, well, that's exactly what I do. And I love the way you say what you're designed to do, what you're born to be, who you're designed. Because there we have a design inside of us, and we're all so unique. At the beginning, I thought, well, maybe some of people are the same. No, none of us. We're not like snowflakes. We're all completely individual. And that's the whole beauty of it.
So
So,
the whole
yes.
personal development game is rigged because it's personal to the person who is receiving it. It's not a one size fits all. And could that be the reason why the coaching industry is just a little bit wishy-washy and people don't quite have a straight path? Because like you said, we are designed and everybody's designed differently.
Yeah, I think it's wishy-washy because I'm not all coaches. There are some super coaches, but I think the coaches themselves are wishy-washy. They say, well, I'm going to quit corporate and I'm going to be a coach and I'm going to tell people what they should be doing. Well, people don't necessarily they want to learn systems, they want to learn strategies, right? But if they don't know who they are, what their niche is, and what their driving purpose is, I don't care what the system is. I don't care what the strategy is. It's not going to work unless they know who they are.
So it's all about removing what's in the way, like
Yeah.
the
What's
fear,
in the
the
way in
doubt, the,
ourselves?
the
Absolutely. And
conditioning.
knowing,
And once all of that is gone, the real you shows up.
yeah, the real you. Yeah. Shining bright, like we were before we were 6 years old. Like, oh, everything is possible. Teacher, show me how brilliant I am. No, sit down, Katarina, and be quiet and be like everybody else. No, thank
Absolutely.
you.
Okay. So, and I think this is what you get paid for, right? Walk us through your entrepreneurial blueprint or what it is that you actually take people through and how can people get a hold of this?
I'm also a Gallagher Proctor Gallagher coach, and I take them through 12 steps that will show them exactly how to manifest, how to make real any goal they have in their life, any goal whatsoever.
Absolutely. And where can people go to on the internet, Katarina, to get started on this journey?
Yeah. So they get started with the entrepreneurial blueprint. So they can say, this is who I am, this is my value, this is what I want to do, this is my driving purpose, this is my vision. I'm very, very clear. Now, how do I do it? And then how do I get the systems and strategies to work for me?
Absolutely. And I'll be putting all those links to the show notes in the show notes so that people can actually go onto your Destiny International website. Now, you've obviously experienced quite a lot from the side of being, the therapist to now working with people and helping them elevate and actually be, do, and have that sort of happier existence. And you did say you will continue doing this for as long as it takes and for as long as it allows you to do that. There must also be some sort of a reason in the form of maybe somebody, a student, a client that would have told you how their life would have changed based on the work that you've worked with them. I know you mentioned somebody who made $1 million in 3 years or something like that, but is there a particular story that you will obviously use as a flagpole to say, this is exactly why I do what I do?
Well, there was a moment, I don't know if you've heard of Income Builders International. It was run by Bernie Dorman. His father was the Roosevelt's and Kennedy's coach. And Bernie Dorman, for me, was a great mentor, entrepreneurial, the greatest entrepreneurial mentor I have ever met. And he had I think it was several thousand people who were either entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs, including Jack Canfield, of Chicken Soup for the Soul. These were our teachers. And I was there to do business. I was the wow finder. Wow means, what's your driving purpose? What's your wow idea for an entrepreneurial business? And I could find it in 4 hours, guaranteed. So I was the only one there as a wow finder. And it was about to go through some swing doors, and this little voice inside me said, start a school. And I went, no, 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 start a school. There's no income in it. I don't like schools. I don't want to be in a school. I don't want to have a school. But this energy kept going up and down, and I couldn't work. I had to go to my room and answer. And I looked in the mirror and I said, Katarina, are you going to start a school? And the answer was yes. And that's it. That's it.
Right. And I mean, obviously, when voices like that come in, if you don't necessarily know your values and who you are, it might just be, noise in your head. But when you're ready for the message and it appears at the right time, it actually moves you to get to do more things. And thank you so much for having listened to that message, because obviously now you're helping others be, do, and have a happier existence. Now, you're also going into schools now, and your goal is 195. That's a very peculiar number, 195.
There are 195 excuse me, countries in the world. So our aim is one school in one town in every country in the world, so that children, young people, young entrepreneurs can network with 194 other countries. They can go learn another language, they can visit the country, they can visit the school, they can start their entrepreneurial journey at 7, and they can earn points, not money, but they can earn points all the way up to the time they leave school. And when they leave school, they have an entrepreneurial business they can monetize for the rest of their life.
Absolutely. And I believe, like, if you can provide value into the world, you'll never want for anything, because people get paid in direct proportion to the value that they bring into the marketplace. So
Absolutely.
kudos to you for having seen that. And wishing you all the best with everything else that you're going to be doing and your endeavors. But obviously, to end and conclude this episode, you opened us up to the acronym of fear, which is focus, energy, action, all equal to results. But for somebody who's watching this right now and they know that they're literally meant for more and they haven't maybe acted as yet, is there a first step that they can just take immediately after watching this, or as we are concluding this episode, they just do that one thing and it could actually get them on the way?
Well, I would suggest, if there's someone who says, well, I've got a job, I'm well paid, but I'm not fulfilled, hop on a call with me. It's a free call for anybody on this program. 30 minutes with me, and we won't find your driving purpose and your vision in half an hour. We won't. But we'll find what the next step is for you. And I guarantee that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Katarina, I can't thank you enough for the time that you spent with me on the call today. I mean, your life story and your experience have so much value for a lot of people if they just find their own values and get rid of the fear that is, crippling them, in order for them to have, a life and maybe a business that's actually profitable and enjoyable. So thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome, Prosper. My pleasure.
Absolutely. I think this has been one of those conversations that, it just doesn't give you answers, but it actually is a tap on the shoulder and gives you permission. And I think this is your permission slip to think bigger, think and move faster, and just stop negotiating with fear, because all of this fear that we are experiencing is just because you just don't know enough for you to actually know what the next step is. And as Katarina has offered, I'll be putting in all those links. Just reach out to her and connect with her. And if you are well and truly good, or you're happy, but this episode spoke to you, I encourage you to share it with somebody who needs to hear this message today. Okay. Maybe you've heard somebody who is struggling. They don't quite know what it is that they need to do. Just slide this into their DM. They will be able to thank you later. Okay. And I also want you to ask yourself, what would your life look like if you had no fear? I don't know what you're going to do with that information, but take that first step of connecting with Katarina. Until next time, bye for now.